Hello there. So to trade in these volatile, uncertain times, you need nerves of pure steel. And that's exactly what Josh Mahony has in buckets. And he's here now to explain exactly how he's going to trade next week. So what have you got your eye on?
I guess it's been one of the big stories for this week, and that is gold. And the key thing about this week is the fact that gold is perceived as a safe haven, right? So that's the kind of thing that when you're seeing people move away from risk assets, i.e., you know, the indices and the like, they move into something like gold. The interesting thing is this week has been dominated by buying, and you've seen the FTSE rally to a 10-month high, yet gold continues to push higher. And I think the reason for this is the fact that people are now starting to look at where should we set ourselves up for the medium term or the long term. Yeah, because it's going to be a very interesting year. There's a lot up in the air at the moment. We don't necessarily know what's going to happen. People's earnings and houses and savings are all being devalued in the UK. You're likely to see more monetary policy around the world. Bank of Japan certainly, Bank of England certainly, and people are looking, where can I put my money? And I feel like gold is that play. Now, the week ahead, I do expect we're going to see gains for gold. There's a question mark over whether we're going to see a retracement, and a retracement I think would be an opportunity to get in at a better price. So I would prefer to play a retracement. But, you know, irrespective of whether it does retrace or whether it doesn't, I think, let's say in 2, 3, 4 weeks down the line, I think we're going to be significantly higher than where we are at the moment. So I think gold is an interesting play for next week. It's also an interesting play over the longer term.
So it's not necessarily a trade of the week as such, is it? It's just one to look out for. It
depends where your entry is, because you could get the entry next week and then that could set you up for a longer term trade. So it could be your trade of the week, but it might not necessarily mean that your trade ends that week, if you get what I mean.
I do get what you mean. Let's talk about stops then.
Yeah, okay. So if we were gonna get an entry, firstly, you could take an entry now, but like I said, you've also got the risk of the fact that we seem relatively overextended. You can see the likes of the stochastics oversold and alike, and therefore I would prefer to be able to get an entry, let's say 1328, because that's your previous resistance. You can see we've got this triangle pattern coming into play here, but ultimately, as long as price doesn't break below this 1313 mark, which is that first swing low within that triangle pattern, I'm happy to be long of this market. Now, if we look at the sort of wider picture, this is the weekly time frame, and we can see here, this chart here shows you on the weekly that we've got this wedge pattern. So we were always set up for a big rally in terms of gold. This wedge we can see it's been selling off for years, ever since its peak back in 2012. So I do think there's room for maneuver. There's room for further upside. You can see this week price came down to, touched this 1307 alongside that 200-week SMA and has been moving higher since. So I think we are set up for a strong period for gold, and like I said, I'm happy to be long as price doesn't break below this 1313 mark. So I put my stop below there. I'd prefer to get an entry at this previous swing high, but like I said, you know, it's understandable if people want to get long early, but you know, personally, whenever I try and get an entry, I try and get an entry at a bit more of a preferential price.
All right, thanks a lot for that. A Brexit golden era then, isn't it?
There you go.
There's always winners and losers, yeah, but gold. I always want to start singing when I say gold. Gold. Thank you so much indeed for watching. Put those stops on if you are trading yourself, and in the meantime, have a fantastic weekend. Thank you for watching.